I recorded a whole motherfucking 36-minute video about autism and other things, and completely didn't even talk about the one thing that I wanted to talk about when I initially started recording, which was the way that I communicate, the way that I express myself to the world. Before I knew about autism, I knew about my birth chart and that my Mercury, which is the planet of communication, is in the sign of Aries, which is very fiery and very direct. And so that was my answer. That's why I'm a bit intense when I communicate to literally anybody. It's because my Mercury is in Aries. And you know, that probably does contribute to some aspects of it, but the main reason is because that is how my particular brand of autism manifests. Direct communication is a common thing with autistic people, and one of the questions on the RADS-R test that you can take on Embrace Autism is like, do you get told that you were rude even when you didn't think that you were being rude or you weren't trying to be rude? And the answer is yes. The answer is always yes. And only a fraction of the time am I actually being rude, but when I actually am deliberately being rude, I get much larger reactions from people because when I am being rude, I'm a fucking asshole. I can be very insufferable when I feel a certain type of way about something, especially if I know that I am right and somebody else is being deliberately obtuse and just misunderstanding me, no matter how many different ways I clearly communicate. Then I will be fucking rude. But as you can probably tell right now, the way that I just naturally communicate comes off a bit, I don't know. I truly don't understand. All I feel like that I am doing is communicating honestly and directly, and I find myself unable to sugarcoat. I'm not mean with what I say. I just find no reason to dress things up. I feel like the things that I say and the things that I am communicating are indicative of me caring about whoever I'm talking to. But because I can't be like this when I'm communicating it, I'm seen as rude and just like an asshole. For, to me, no reason. No fucking reason. I am very intense in the way that I communicate. I move my body when I talk. I notoriously talk with my fucking hands. I curse. The cursing really helps to add emphasis on what I'm saying, and it just makes it feel better as it comes out of my body. People tend to get really just like twisted up about curse words being used. And there's a difference between me saying this fucking thing and saying fuck you. One is for emphasis. One is for insult. But there's a whole lot about that as well. Cursing is a sign of intelligence, not just like goddamn son of a bitch shit. Like when you speak and you are peppering in curse words as like oomph and stuff to convey feelings, it is a sign of intelligence. It is not. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about. The way that I communicate is abrasive to people, and I have come to accept that as a reality, and therefore I have to work even harder to communicate my point to people, even when what I was communicating from the very beginning was coming from a place of compassion, was coming from a place of collaboration, was coming from a place of, hey, I'm just trying to make things better and make sure that we're on the same page and get to the bottom of stuff so that we don't both have these resentments that we're harboring because the other person is too afraid to ruffle any feathers and say anything. I cosplayed like that a lot in my life before I knew about the autism, but it was very hard for me to do. I definitely had a lot of avoidant behaviors because of the reactions that I've gotten when I've literally just been expressing how I naturally express. It's very frustrating to have people demand false gentleness. I don't really know what to call it because, like, I feel like I am being gentle. I feel like I am being kind when I am communicating with people. But I tend to, like, my default expression is this. I don't know what it looks like right now. I'm sure when I'm editing, I'm going to be like, wow, resting bitch face much? Like, even if I'm communicating something that is positive, this is my delivering information to you face. And so no matter what comes out of it, it's interpreted in a negative way. To the point where I got a protection order put against me because this person could not handle my communication. No matter how much, no matter how hard I worked to make sure that I was being palatable for this intensely fragile person, it was never enough. It was absolutely never enough. And I want to be able to express the way that I express. It feels so bad to work so hard to deliver a message to someone in a way that I'm like, there's no way that they could misinterpret this. This is very clear communication. I have clearly taken time to make sure that I am showing that I have been thoughtful about their experience while also talking about my experience in a way that is non-judgmental and trying to work together. And every single time, I always have to further explain whatever I have said. And it just, I think I need to be done trying to be palatable. I thought that maybe part of my challenge in this lifetime was figuring out how to go against my nature of the way that I communicate and become more gentle, become quieter and less expressive and like, but no, because it doesn't matter how I deliver the message. Whether I deliver it just how I naturally express or whether I really try to make people comfortable, they always react the same fucking way. So I'm just gonna talk how I fucking talk. Which is very matter of fact, which apparently makes people feel like I'm being condescending, even when I'm not. Sometimes I am, but most of the time I'm fucking not. It's just kind of a thing that's like, this seems very obvious to me, and it's not to other people. I communicate the way that I communicate because that is how my autism manifests. I can't make this anything other than what it is. And I really wish people would actually try to put their feelings, their personal feelings aside, and like when big emotions come up, like sit in them in a moment before you like just react. I'm not asking people to do anything that I don't do. When things happen and emotions are dialed up and I'm hearing things that are triggering things in my brain that are like, fuck you, and I want to like explain myself, I take the time to let that person finish and hear what they are saying, and remember that just because somebody is saying something about me doesn't make it true. That is their perception. And so I absorb that, take my feelings out of it, and try to meet that person halfway and be like, I hear you saying this, this, and this. This is actually what I was trying to communicate. It seems like it was being interpreted as this. But people historically have not granted me that same courtesy. And I really wish that people would take a breath and not be so reactive and just like feel the feelings and let them pass. I know it seems like they're not going to pass, but they will pass. And then you can think about the situation clearer and recognize, oh, maybe I did do something wrong. Or no, I still feel like this is right, and there's some sort of miscommunication, something that's not clicking. And talk to people, and not just, you're not delivering something exactly the way that I want you to, so we're not gonna. No, you need to dialogue with people. It is important to try to understand people, especially if somebody is constantly like telling you that they get misinterpreted and really need the benefit of the doubt. And just like, please, if you think that I am saying something like mean or negative or rude or whatever, just confirm it with me. Just say, hey, the way that you have said that, or the thing that you have said, has made me feel this way. Can we talk about it? And then that lets me know that I was not interpreted in the way that I thought that I was intending. And I can clear that up. I'm never trying to fucking start fights with people. That's literally the last thing on my fucking mind. I will participate in conflict if they arise, and I cannot get the other person to have a rational back and forth. Once I see that that's not possible, I'll drop the back and forth and I will just start being what you are accusing me of being, to show you what that actually looks like. If everybody could just take a seat and not try to just cancel people for being imperfect, and have thoughtful conversations and let people express themselves, you would find out that you actually have a lot more in common with each other than you think. We all interpret the same exact words in wildly different ways depending on the way that we were raised, the environment that we were in, how those words were used around and at us, to us, whatever. We all have different knowledge, and I think that it is important to try to respectfully communicate with each other and leave room for imperfections. And if somebody does something that's hurtful, instead of just being like, well, you did this, blah, 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 just be like, hey, I feel upset right now because of this thing that you did, and this is the way it made me feel. And then it gives the other person a chance to either confirm that that's what they meant, and then you can have your fucking like, fuck you, or be like, oh shit, I'm so sorry about that. That literally is not at all what I meant. And now I can take this information and apply it to future situations where I'm like, oop, maybe I should stop and think about how this might impact the person that I am talking to, because in the past, this did not go over very well with other people. That's what I wanted to say. Try to talk to people and let them be imperfect, please. Just, we got to do something about everything that's going on. And the way to do that is through each other. We have to talk to each other. We got to coexist with each other. We got to work with each other. Even if We have differences. Major differences. I'm not telling you to be tolerant to hate or bigotry or racism or anything like that. Punch a Nazi in the fucking face. And then after you've punched him, put an ice pack on his eye and tell him why you punched him. And maybe he'll listen. I don't fucking know. But just stop expecting everybody to be absolutely perfect. We all fuck up in so many ways all the goddamn time. We all need a little bit of grace.